Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Warhammer Wednesdays on Garblag Games. We are running episode 3 of Hallowed Are The Gods. I think it's 3 for episode 4 of Hallowed Are The Gods. Thank you for the shout on the background there. So welcome, everybody. Here's my motley crew of players who I'm sure need no introduction, but we will. And they will tell you what they've been doing with their characters in the downtime with their XP. And normally I will start with Aaron because he's organised, but I'm going to throw a spanner in the works and go, Roger!
Could I just say something before we start?
Of course you can.
I know that we're both the same physical ilk and as handsome as each other, but myself and Aaron are in the wrong character. I'm down as Aaron Grimm, Auric Runesmarter, and
yeah, he's not wrong.
That's true.
Quick, get up!
I'm not nearly pretty enough to be Jim, so I'm sorry. You're wrong there, buddy.
He's done it.
And the technical god in the background has just fixed everything. Thank you, oh wise and great Garblag.
What an handsome bastard. Sorry.
Which one?
Yeah, sorry, I'll shut up now.
You never have to shut up, Jim. So without further ado, you just brought Roger a reprieve. He was not prepared for me to throw it at him. So you've actually just helped him out. There you go, Roger. Over to you, sir.
Love you, Jim. Hi, I'm Roger, and I'm playing Warrior Ragewoods, the Kernoth Hunter, and I don't think I've spent any XP. Oh, actually, I did. I bought a focus in weapon skill.
Because you want to chop more people up. Evil person. We will go over to Dathos, or Dan, as he's known in the real world.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan, other Dan, and I am playing Dathos, Night Quester, and Stormcast Eternal. I have spent my XP on a new talent, Iron Will, and some skills in Determination to basically up my toughness.
Because you weren't.
So I will be even harder to kill.
Yeah.
One hopes.
It took a magical dwarf axe to be doing damage to you last week. And then, speaking of dwarfs, let's segue straight into Grim Redhammer. Aaron.
I'm Aaron, and I'm playing Grim Redhammer, the Fire Slayer, a Auric Rune Smiter, who spent his XP last week on improving my soul to 4, which helps obviously with my blessings and castings of my healing abilities, but mainly because it allows me to have a 4th rune hammered into my body and that I can activate during combat. And off screen, I had the rune of shielding forged for me after turning in all the gold we got out of the bar owner, which improves my defense by 1 step. So I'm no longer quite as squishy as I was before.
Have you actually fired up any of your other runes yet?
Yeah, they automatically, your runes automatically fire up on your initiative at the first round of combat. And they last generally 3 to 5 sessions or 1 like mini campaign. So I just sort of assumed they were going to last through our.
Oh, no, yeah, absolutely. I don't remember at any point in time you going, oh, by the way, all my runes are active. But yes, absolutely.
They automatically. Yep, they automatically
last the whole season. It's fine.
One of the actual interesting things in the Steam and Steel book is there's a series of runes that actually only last 1 combat.
Mm-hmm.
And they're wicked powerful, but you've got to have a ton of gold, and you need to be ready for that because you're spending some time on endeavors otherwise.
Well, we look forward to those potentially in the future. And he's already introduced himself a little bit preamble, but here he is, the very beautiful Jim. Who are you playing, Jim?
I'm playing Tanzo, who's an Achelian emissary, who is obviously an afterthought to the dwarf and all his nice runes and everything. I've had to wait till last, basically. Yeah, and no, I'm good, and Tanzo's good, and we're looking forward to trying to calm the Night Questor down and smiting people. Yeah, and doing some decent diplomacy, dude.
Yes, diplomacy was the key of the week last week, and you all aggressively negotiated your way through the dodgy dice gambling den to retrieve the astral compass that you've been sent to get by the cartographer. And so you are now making your way back to the cartographer, and you're without your plucky sidekick, Mateus. You don't know where he disappeared to, but he's gone. Walkabout. After the revelations last week that he obviously was mildly involved in the attack on the Cartographers Guild. So you get back into the Cartographers Guild and you walk up to the back office because you know that's where the cartographer is going to be, and you hand over the compass, and you can see her fiddling around, and Daphos, she turns to you and sort of holds her hand out, and you realise she wants the light of Malleus. And it's sort of a little montage scene of her like sort of tinkering. She gently drops the light of Malleus in, and it kind of spins around. You've seen it, the sort of the gyros of lots of like wheels sort of spinning at once around this light, and then it lights up, and she holds it above the map that it's a blank page, and now as the light shines over the map, it gives you a map of Gyran, and then it's almost like on a tablet, it zooms down to your path that you're going to take, and she sets out and tells you where you're going to be going, or sort of the route you're going to be taking. And so she sets out and she says, first, you will leave the northern gates of Hallowed Gyran when you step through the gates onto the other side, and you will travel through the Bog of Despair. Now, I must warn you, the Bog of Despair is not named for its fineries, shall we say. It is a deep and dark place. You must stay on the path. For no reason, deviate from the path. For those who deviate from the path are never seen again. Once you've made your way through the Bog of Despair, you will then take the path further north to Life's Point, which is a small village town set up as a trading waypoint between Hallowed Gyran and and the Sylvaneth kindreds further out into Gyran. Once you've been there, your path will take you northwest, all the way along to the Pools of Gyran, which is the Sacred Grove. Now, these paths shown on the map here, they are not trod by anyone else. This is a secret path that will lead you to the Sacred Grove. No one else can get to that Sacred Grove without treading this path. So do not deviate from the path.
Do we tread on that path or don't we then? Because if no one's trod on it, then why do we have to tread on it?
Only people seeking what you're seeking may tread upon this path, Master Elf.
So no one's ever sought this thing before?
Well, the people who you're looking for, the Stormcast Eternals, I believe, were also given this map. So they may and should have trodden along this path, and I hope you find them with no ill having come to them.
Okay.
So you understand your path and your mission.
We understand. Head out the north gate, go through the bog, stop at Life's Point, go to the Pool of Gyram, do our business, come back, collect our gold, and probably shouldn't leave the path.
Do not leave the path.
We must not deviate from the path.
Do not deviate from the path.
Right.
Indeed.
Especially in the Bog of Despair.
Understood.
If we did,
the path.
if we did, what would happen?
Nobody knows, for no one has ever returned.
I think it's a bit of a challenge, dude, to be fair. Yeah.
Do you think there's gold off the path?
I would have thought so, dude. You know, they always say that, don't they? Like,
She looks genuinely concerned by this conversation you're having. She's clearly telling you, do not deviate from the path. And you're, no, absolutely. No, do not deviate from the path. Nobody has ever been seen after leaving the path.
People say that whenever they're hiding things like treasure and gold. And what is it, Urgold?
Urgold, indeed.
Yeah.
How about this? We'll finish the mission, come back, and then Tanzel, you and I can go back out into the bog and leave the path.
The bog wasn't always a bog. It was once a small town in the Age of Myth. But when the forces of chaos swept the land, the humans there got destroyed. And after the recent necroquake, the powers of death, that's when the mists appeared. Now anyone who strides into the mist is never seen again.
Hey man, there's no more bigger powers of death than me and Grim. Yeah, we
I don't
saw
know.
death.
The tree does hit pretty hard, and so does
Yeah.
the Tin Man. We'll take both of them. None of us are humans. We're tougher than that lot. So
Then I have no more words of wisdom to impart upon you.
all right, we'll stick to the path for now.
And Daphos, she hands you the compass. And she's like, the light will guide you. Always follow the light. And she hands it to you. And you can kind of see that the gyros are spinning, but the light, it's almost like a little waypoint. It kind of moves as you're moving. It's not pointing true north. It's not like a normal compass. Not that there's true north in the realms themselves, but it's not pointing in what you would imagine a normal compass would point in. It's pointing in its set direction. So no matter where you turn, it stays in that direction, and it's telling you to go this way. And then she sort of looks at you and goes, "Have you seen Matthias? He didn't return with you."
Yeah, he strayed from the path.
That he did.
Okay.
He won't be returning.
Oh.
He's alive, but he won't be returning because he's a foul traitor.
I knew something must have been up. There's no way they could have easily got. Anyway, then that's not for you to worry about. But we've upped our security here and so on and so forth. And never again shall our maps or our compasses fall into the wrong hands. And as she says that, you kind of actually, as you're walking back out now, and she's like waving to you as you leave her lovely office, and you're walking through that lovely big oaken hall with all the lovely tables. And there's loads of cartographers back at work drawing maps. You can see there is definitely a more militaristic presence in here now. In fact, there's actually, as you go back through the main sort of hall area, there's now 2 Stormcast Eternals Liberators standing guard out there. So it's not a case of it. And obviously, a big part of this guild is that they do create the mats for the Dawnbringer Crusades and things like that. So really important resource for the realm. Anyway, so you make your way out, and standing out in front is Amelin. And my lords, I'm here to guide you to the gate. And she promptly guides you to the gate of Hammerhole. And there it is, standing all of its glory with quite a hefty guard around it and checkpoints, as you would imagine, people sort of going in and out through the gates and stuff, is the huge gate. And you sort of, as you walk up, 2 Stormcast Eternals are standing there, and one of them sort of halts you, and sort of Amelin talks to him. These are on duty, and they're to pass through. And she kind of shows them a seal of Sigmar. You know it, Daphos, because you've got one on your person as well. And he sort of the Stormcast in full armor just nods, doesn't say anything, and the way's parted, and all the civilians who are waiting to travel through to the other side, and all the supplies and stuff are all sort of moved away. It's almost like your own sort of like Moses through the Red Sea kind of thing. You're being ushered through the crowds, and you get to the gates, and it's eerie if you've never stepped through one. Obviously, you know, your Boreas have definitely stepped through one because he's from the realm of life, so he's come through to this realm of fire. But Grim, you've probably never stepped out of the realm of fire before. Daphos, you're a Stormcast Eternal, you travel by lightning. Not very often you travel by the gates themselves. But you step in. And it's an unusual sensation. Like your body's being stretched and warped and moved. And you sort of, only momentarily, but then you come out the other side of the gate. And where you've left is hot, unhospitable to some, not to you, but certainly for you, Borid, the other side was not pleasant for you to be in. And you come through, and what you're greeted by is a completely different topography for a city, you know, architecturally wise. It's a massive city still, but it's a lot greener. There's a lot more green walls and life, and there's water flowing. And you can see like there's these big things that are flowing water through the gate. So there's actually water flowing from this side of the city into the other side of the city through the gate. You feel a little bit disorientated, and then you sort of
water.
Well, you love water, and then you sort of look up. And you all have to do a little double take because you swear you can see Amelin standing in front of you. But as you sort of approach her, she introduces herself as Imra. Hello, lords. My name is Imra.
Are you sure about that?
You look awfully like the person that we just left.
All you speak humans look alike.
Well, I'm Alauf. Pointy ears. Kind of give it away. You are probably talking about my twin sister. Not twins by birth, twins by magical cloning, but a practice of the Lumineth. I'm here. I've been instructed to get you as quickly as possible to the main north gate to see you on your way, I believe. So
Yes.
if you're please follow
Dan-
me. Also,
Dan, I got a quick mechanical question.
Go for it.
Did we have enough time that we took essentially a breather so our toughness recovered after our
yeah,
fight?
yeah. As far as I'm concerned, sort of like you went off and did a sort of hammer montage and did your runes, and everybody else did a little bit bits and pieces. So you've all recovered sort of wounds, toughness. You're sort of, it's been a couple of days to sort of gather yourself back up for this because you're going on a big journey now. So you're off. So you've had plenty of time to sort of gather yourself in that respect. And she leads you through the city, and it, like I said, it's a lot more hospitable on this side. Maybe not for you, Grim. You're used to the hurly-burly and the sweaty and the hot, but the rest of you are probably enjoying this a bit more. It's a lot cooler. It's much more full of life. For you, Tanzil, there's big pools of water everywhere. You know, water's scarce in the realm of fire, but here in the realm of life, it's plentiful. And she walks you to the main gate. And there's a lot of hustle and bustle as you get towards the gate, and the gates are closed, which is unusual because Hammerhall is generally open unless it's under attack. You get to the gates, and there's a captain. Halt, sorry, cannot let you through. And sort of Imra sort of walks up and sort of introduces you, and she ushers you forward. I am Captain Bronn of this gate. I'm afraid I cannot let you through. State your business.
Grim is pulling his Magradoth scale cloak around him and slightly shivering. He's like, "It's bloody freezing here. Let us through the damn gate. We've got business to attend to for the Cartographers Guild."
Well,
And I'll bring out my seal.
Oh, you're on Sigmar's business. And he makes this, the sign of the twin-tailed comet, and by hammer and comet. Open the gates! Open the gates! And like the gates open, and lots of people start trying to hustle and bustle. But again, loads of guards sort of form up a line, just give you this lovely channel out of the gates, and you leave the cities. Tanzo, I assume you're sort of gloriously riding on the back of your eel.
Yeah, I've just got a little bit of air come down in my face, so I'm just going to have to whip it back. Yeah.
And, your water spray, your briny seawater sprays into the crowd nearby. And you actually see a couple of maidens as you sort of venture out, and you have left the confines of Hammerhal Gyron. And you're out of sea.
Briny seawater.
I think the question should be is how is his hair always wet?
He literally walks around in a magical sea. Whenever you see him, he's in a magical sea. That's just how the IDF roll. So his cape that he wears, mechanically speaking, his cape gives him a bubble of sea, Aether Sea. It's a special magical sea.
Okay.
And he can even hide in it and stuff like that. It's very marvelous and wonderful and a little bit troubling at times. But you are now out in the wilds of Gyron. And so, Daphos, you get out the compass and it kind of points you on the way. And after about a day or two of traveling, you reach the edge of the Bog of Despair. And at first, it's just a blanket of mist and fog. You can't see a way in, but the light's telling you, and you're sort of walking along the wall. And as you're walking along, the compass suddenly changes back direction, as if you've gone past something. And sort of as you back up, Daphos, and it levels itself, there is a very, very, very thin corridor, maybe just wide enough to fit your shoulders through, leading into the mists. Can you all make me a quick awareness test? It's going to be a difficult one. It's a 5-3.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty easy for me. Shockingly failed.
So none of you noticed there's something, so that's absolutely fine.
Oh, no, second, I've not rolled yet.
Oh, have you not? Oh no, of course you have. Oh, is that just put up ahead?
Yeah.
Right, okay, none of you spot this. So are you going to venture into the mists?
So are we going on the assumption that paths are for halflings?
We'll follow the path for the this is what the compass has said. So
I'm behind you all the way, Dathos, because the only way I'm getting paid is if we get this job done. So lead on.
Explore off the path another time.
Yeah, we'll have Dathos up front because he's got the compass and supposedly knows where we're going. And I'll walk behind him because I'm tall enough to swing over him.
I like it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it is extremely narrow.
I'll make sure that your roots don't get dry, man.
No worry about that here. It is a bog as you would expect it to be. You kind of, as you sort of go in, you feel the mist. Like you occasionally you touch the mist because it's, like I said, it's extremely narrow. A normal person would not be able to find this path. And as you sort of wander through, every now and again you graze the mist, and even you, Daphos, can feel the chill of the mist. It's not a natural mist. And so you're making your way through the mists and the bogs and various things you see, and you hear noises in the distance, croaking and things like that. And every now and again you walk across what you feel is man-made stuff. And as you look down, there's like planks and stuff. So maybe part of the village once upon a time as you sort of move through. You cannot, the mist is impenetrable. You cannot see into it. But as you're walking along the path, a little area opens up, a little bubble, as it were, and it's probably only maybe 10 feet by 10 feet in terms of distance. It's not a very big area, but inside there are some sigils and there's some graves. Would you like to investigate? Or would you like to continue on the path?
Continue along the path.
Yeah, that's off the path, isn't it?
No. You see, like I said, because it's opened up. So basically, what it is like a bubble. You've got your fin path. You've got this bubble. It's almost like a camping zone, almost. And then you can see the fin path ahead of you. And like I said, there's some sigils that look like really old sort of Sigmarite sigils. They're like they're probably from the time of myth.
Grim's already wandered off, nose in the air, sniffing for Urgold. He's like, who knows what we'll find out here.
Yep.
Well, take a look at them as we continue down the path.
Okay, would you all like to roll me either an intuition or awareness roll, whichever is better for you?
They're equally terrible.
Yeah, so
What's the difficulty, Dan?
It's a 4-1, but sort of more successes, you might spot more here.
Intuition or what?
Intuition or awareness,
Hey, I passed.
whichever's your best one.
We've got a few successes.
Oh wow. Okay. So let's go through this. So Borre, you got 2. Daphos, Grim. No, you all got some successes, right? So Daphos and Grim, so you're wandering around and you look around, and the graves they don't look disturbed, which is unusual because this area is quite thick with the necromantic powers, as the cartographer explained. The necroquake kind of threw all this up. You're thinking, actually, especially you, Grim, because you're a priest of your own people, and while it doesn't give you an insight into the Sigmarite ways, priests tend to get other priest stuff, and you can tell that this area is the sigils. They're kind of protecting this area from the evil magic. Daphos, you see on the graves, the names are still fairly there, even if it's been thousands of years since the Age of Myth. And the two that sort of stand out to you is a Bella Jensen and a Luther Jensen. So there's two sort of a couple, as it were. Borre and Tanzel, you're obviously more attuned to this, especially you, sort of Borre, because you're a hunter. You're sort of tuning into it. And in the distance, you can hear a crying child. Sounds like a crying child. Very distant, very faint, but it sounds like a crying human child.
From what direction?
Into the mist.
Along the path, or
no, off the path. I would say if you're heading north of the path, it's more sort of easterly. And you can sort of, it sounds distant, but now you're sort of tuning into it. It sounds like a girl sobbing. It sounds like a young girl is trapped in the mists and lost.
Just going to ignore it.
Tanzel, you also hear this. Your elven ears sort of prick up, and you're picking this up.
Yeah, man, children are crying.
Grim, you don't hear the noise to begin with, but then when Tanzel sort of draws your attention to it, you stop looking at the sigils and you kind of crook your ear into it, and you can now hear, sort of, you and Daphos can now hear this, what sounds like a crying human child in the distance.
Oi! Oi! Crying child! Come towards our voice.
And the sobbing gets a little bit louder, but she doesn't sound like she's getting closer. She's off in the distance.
Must be fine, whatever she's doing then.
It might not necessarily be a real human.
You think? That's That's pretty clever of you there, Borear.
We should just ignore this place and continue.
Nobody's paying me to rescue children in mist. That is a fact.
And our heroic Stormcaster Turner was very silent on the matter.
Glad Dathos is on board.
That's really, really like, not good at all.
You're just abandoning a poor human child.
I mean, if you want to make excuses for not going off the path, that's up to you. But all I'm saying is, Tanzo.
Hey, Tanzo, if you're going, I'm going with you. I mean, where else would I go? But still, nobody is paying us to do it.
That's not the way towards getting gold.
You never know. She could be sitting on a pile of Earl Gold, and that's why she's crying. I don't know.
It could have dropped on her feet, man.
The sobbing gets a little bit louder.
Sounds like some heavy gold, dude.
Could be. Well, if you go, I'm going with you.
And then there's a very faint cry of help.
I kind of ready my scythe.
What are we thinking about this, Mr. Knights?
Dathos is still silent on the matter.
Without the force of reason behind it, something foolish is bound to happen here.
Yeah, man, come on, let's go and see the child. Yeah, let's go.
Right. So Grim turns towards wherever the sobbing's coming from and marches into the mist.
Well, as you step upon the path to the noise, the mist opens up, as if to say, "Go save this person." And the mist doesn't massively part; it doesn't suddenly all of it disappear, but there's a clear, defined path. You can see off in the distance a very faint glow, and that appears to be where the sound is coming from.
Yeah, man, let's go. Yeah, the mist wants us to go. It's an omen.
Must be. Hi, Grimnir. Let's see to this child and her pile of gold.
I'm not moving. I'm staying where I was.
Yeah, well, it's not that far. You can keep eyesight on them. They're not. It's not like a massive 10-mile trek into the bog. It is a very short
If the Stormcast tries to follow, I will kind of go. No.
So, like I said, it's not a very sort of long walk. And as you're sort of getting closer to it, obviously, Ori, you're keeping your eye on them. You can kind of see, and you've got hunter's eyes. You're used to hunting down like the very smallest of things in the Sylvan thick woods. As you two are getting closer, you can see the form of a small girl on the floor, and she's sitting on a little mound of earth. You can't see any Urgold, unfortunately, but there she is, and she's weeping. She's crying. She's a little girl just sitting there.
Well, this is disappointing, but girl,
we do need
snap out of it.
A bit of a handshake out, Grim, before we go and do things like this.
That's a good point. Hey, are you from Life Point?
And
girl, look at me.
She doesn't turn around. She's still got her back to you, crying. Would you like to do anything before approaching her? Or are you just approaching her?
Can I just say, Grim, that things that won't turn the face is always like some real down shit, man. Yeah, so I'd get ready to behead the child, dude.
Can I do an intuition roll or something to see if this is an unnatural feeling? Or
I will give you it as a devotion roll because there's
nice.
And Jim, if you can roll me an awareness roll.
4-1 or
can it not be
4-1? We'll just do it. Yeah, you can do it as intuition. Yeah, Tanzo, if you want to do it as intuition. Yep.
Cool.
Okay, excellent. I'll just wait for the devotion roll to come through. Excellent. So Tanzil, she's weeping, she's crying, but you see on her right wrist very clearly. You've got elven eyes. You just zone into it straight away. She's wearing a small golden bracelet, and it says Beth Jensen on it. And Grim, you sort of, as you're getting closer, you can almost feel it. That this little girl, she's not alive. She's crying still, and she turns and she sort of stands up. Doesn't turn around to begin with. Just stands up, still weeping. I lost my mummy and daddy.
Yeah, chill out, Beth Jensen.
She's a bloody ghost or some
And
sort
as you
of
utter
spectre.
her name, she turns around and howls, and her face is all rotten away, and she howls like a banshee. Can I have your initiative, please, gentlemen?
Once again, I am a dwarven of great speed. My initiative is 2.
Okay.
I am a clanky. My initiative is also 2.
Mine is 6.
Mine is also 6.
We didn't, for reference, we didn't start this one.
Dan, we haven't actually left the
the storm cart.
Oh,
The
haven't
storm
we?
cart.
Oh,
No,
brilliant.
you two are still there, just watching these two go try to rescue this young girl.
They could do what the fuck they like.
And Ragewood is 6, and you, I believe, are free now, Mr. Stormcast.
Am I?
Yes,
Check your combat.
How?
because your reflexes went up by 1. And so reflexes directly affect your initiative. Okay. Let's see when the ghosty ghosts are gonna go. Ooh.
All right, we'll just stand here and watch them get killed, and then go "Meh, on with the mission.
That's fair.
So-
of course, I am the person who's going to heal you on the mission, but that's
Okie dokie. So actually, sort of howls, definitely scream. Can all of you, because you guys can hear it as well, or even though you're far off in the distance. Can you all roll me a 5-2 soul determination test, please?
A what now?
Soul determination.
What's
It's a determination test. It's in your talents. You'll see stats. Determination.
Oh, that thing I just spent money in.
Yeah.
XP in, sorry.
It's what, a 5-3?
A 5-2.
Oh,
As her unearthly howl penetrates your mind.
Can we spend at this point? Can we spend a point of metal since we're in initiative to double our training dice?
Absolutely. Yep.
I think
Davos, you are fine. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool.
Aurea.
Oh.
No, Grim, you do because you got 6, so you're fine. So,
Okay.
sorry, just laughing. Tanzil had so many dice. So Tanzil and Boria, you both gain the frightened effect until the next turn. So
What does that mean?
I need rerolls right now. No. Yeah.
the source of the character will not willingly move closer to the source of fear.
Oh, that's fine.
No.
I wasn't planning on it.
Well, yeah, you might have shot with your big bow. Right. So the howl also draws out some other ghosties. And you sort of see before you, sort of, obviously, Borir and Davos, you're off in the distance, but you can see the glow appearing. You can't see exactly the form of which the glow is, but you can see there are 4 mortal glows that appear and are slowly sort of filtering towards now Grim. Now, Grim and Tanzil, you can see this very clearly. There's sort of spooky, ghosty things. One's holding a candelabra with lots of candles in it, and then there's 3 other ghosties sort of following behind it. They're all in sort of different zones at the moment. They don't seem very organized because they're ghosts, but they are sort of nudging their way towards you. Okie dokie, let's get some initiative. So, initiative where we are. So, Tanzil, you will not move willingly closer, but thankfully the howling thing is directly in front of you, so you will get to act first.
Can I swipe at it?
You can absolutely swipe at it. The frightened condition does not stop you fighting, it just stops you moving.
Yeah. Okie dokie.
Her defense is poor.
Their defense is poor.
Yeah, her defense is poor. She is, after all, a small child. Excellent. Excellent. So you swipe at her, and you at first you think, oh, that looks like it's going to be a really good hit, and the blade flows through her. She's still there.
Oh, that's cattle shit.
she sort of as you blade sort of sweeps through her, and sort of obviously the misty discorporeal of her form flows with the blade, and then it kind of all sucks back in to form the shape. You do notice ever so slightly there's a small patch of her body that hasn't sucked back into place, but she is still there, and she doesn't look overtly happy that you just swung a blade through her ghosty body. You were supposed to help me. And then it's her go because she is initiative 4, and she is going to attempt to.
I've got a reroll now.
Okay, you keep holding that reroll.
Yeah, shall we?
She's
I'm
going
free.
she's going to try and poke you, Jim. And
What?
I assume
Jim-
you're on your ill with your shield.
Thank you, non-anomaly, for saying I am being bullied by Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you were heroically went in to save the ghost. I do appreciate that.
Thank you. No, I'm for it.
Yeah.
Okay. What?
Your defense rating is great, isn't it? If I remember rightly. Okie dokie. She does nothing to you. She's small. It's really creepy. There's this small ghosty girl sort of swinging this little dagger at you. So next up, it would be Ragewood. I've only ignored you purely because you're miles away and you said you're not approaching and you're scared at the moment. So next up, it will be Dathos. So Dathos, you see sort of a glow in the distance. You can see the small girl. She's close enough that you can see her, but you can see the other ghost sort of glowing into closer range with your comrades who are a bit further afield. What would you like to do? They're about 2 zones away from you.
I'll ask them, gentlemen, do you require assistance?
Looks like it. We got a bunch of bloody ghosts coming to eat our souls.
I do wonder that perhaps maybe that wouldn't have happened if we had stayed where we were.
Well, you were silent when we were debating whether or not to save the little girl.
Yeah.
Dathos will casually move into combat.
Right, so they're 2 zones away from you, so it's going to take you this turn of basically double moving, and then next turn you'll be getting there to be in the fight.
Okay.
But so that's your sort of you're on your way now. We'll go over to you. So the ghosties, the guy with the candles sort of waves his candle around, and you can see the other 2 ghosts that were sort of disorganized and floating around have started floating towards him, and he's now floating towards you. But he's about another zone out. Tanzil and Grim. So they're not quite on you yet. So Grim, we'll go over to you. What would you like to do, Grim?
Grim once again holds up his latchkey axe and in his gravelly voice starts intoning praises to Grimnir. And at the moment, only Tanzil and I feel Grimnir's heat envelop our bodies as our armor increases.
Excellent. And are you doing anything else?
No, I'll stand my ground with Tanzil. I'm not going to leave him alone. That's it.
Okay. Well, no, she's still standing. She's standing right in front of you. So the ghost.
Well, it's a standard action to cast runic empowerment. So all I could do is like a move action. I don't really have anything to do. So
no, okay, that's fine. Right. So the ghosts are kind of floating towards you as they've kind of all gathered together now, which takes us back to the top. Bori, you're no longer scared, but Tanzil, you will go first, and you're no longer scared either, so you can now move as well as fight.
Okay.
And she's in front of you, and she's her jaw seems to have been disconnected. She's got a big howling face now. The more enraged she's got, the more sort of scary she's got.
So can I use my eel to do that biovoltaic blast?
I will allow this. Now she's a ghost, so she doesn't have armor. But what I will say is that it does something else to your weapon. So go ahead and use your biovoltaic blast and strike at her.
Okay. She's poor, isn't she?
She is indeed poor defense.
Oh,
no!
I'll re-roll that.
I was going to say I'd re-roll that as well. You're a 2-1. You just rolled 5 1.
Yeah. If anybody watching would like to give re-rolls to the Jim rolls like a herd of cattle. Yeah, I'm going to re-roll that again. You know it's going to be as bad.
Oh,
Or the opposite.
Better.
oh, the opposite. So your first strike, you sort of bring it down, and it again sweeps through her, and she's like howling and howling and howling at you. But you sort of bring your eel around, and you kind of give it the sort of mental sort of the thing. You have a connection with the eel. You don't need to speak to it. You don't need to bark an order. It understands, and the electricity charges through its body to create the biovoltaic blast, and it sort of surges up through you and into your blade. And your next blade strike, it gains purchase. You feel it almost like you're hitting solid matter. For those of you at home, she has ethereal, and essentially Jim's just charged his thing into a magic weapon, which means she no longer ignores the damage or most of the damage. And so as you strike, she stops howling, and there's a blast, and the ghost is no longer there, and she is gone. As the other three ghosts sort of wail in anguish, like you've just killed their maiden, and they're sort of clanking and clinking towards you, and you can hear the chains rattling. But Boria, we will head over to you. What are you doing, Mr. Ragewood? You're still 2 zones back. You didn't move.
How far can my bow shoot?
I'm pretty sure it's got long range, which means it can shoot 3 zones.
All right, I will take a pot shot at something with the bow.
Yeah. Okay. So there's one with candles. It's got a big old candle thing, and
Although I don't have a bow on my character sheet.
oh, you should have.
Oh, hang on. Oh, I need to equip. There we go.
It's a long bow, I do believe.
Great bow, yeah.
Great bow, yeah. That's it.
Hello.
Yep. So there's sort of like you can see they've got closer now. They're now in the same zone as your allies, and
So
you can clearly see. It depends on which one you're firing at. Actually, no. For ranged weapons, they're both poor. So go ahead. So, I mean, you've got a focus there that you could use to make. Sorry, everybody. So you fire a shot off, and you fire it, and it goes towards one of the sort of the chainy ones that's in front of the guy with the candles, and it just goes straight through him. And same as sort of like, I mean, you're probably actually not seeing this because you're much further away, but your allies see the arrow shoot straight through him. And again, it's the same with the young girl. The arrow goes through and the body kind of pulls itself back together, sort of like mistily, but there's a little bit of the body missing. So it has hit. But
Can I use metal to fire again?
You can indeed. Oh, very well done. So seeing your first shot sort of hit true, you sort of knock another arrow, and you give a little prayer to Alariel, to guide your bow, and it kind of glows green as you do. And as you loose, it flies over, and this time it hits, and again it drags the body through, but somehow as it drags the body through, the whole body just goes with it, and then it's like a flash, and that ghost is gone. And it wail, and the other two wail and creep and crawl and cry and rattle their chains right in front of the rest of you, and so it's a bit unnerving. But something the 3 of you have now noticed, because Daphos, you've made your way up. You are now in the same zone because you took 2 turns. You took both your actions to double move. It's got incredibly cold, deathly cold, in fact, and you all take a point of damage from no armor soak, except for you, Boria, because you're miles off. You don't feel this. But Daphos, Grim, and Tanzil, you all take a point of damage.
Does that come off my toughness?
Yeah, it comes straight off your toughness. No armor soak on this one.
Right.
But we do now move on to Mr. Daphos himself. And now you can see in front of you, they're rattling their chains and they're coming at you. But they are right there in front of you, so you can strike at them and do whatever you want. You got one with candles, and you can clearly see he's slightly bigger than the other one. He's also carrying a much bigger weapon. He's actually carrying a big old sword, and the other one's sort of just got his hands, and he's so there's sort of one that clearly looks
I would
different.
like to issue a heroic challenge to Candles Man.
I mean, he is a ghost. He doesn't seem to nod, but as you issue your challenge, the flame on his candles raises, and it's a deep green fire. It's not like a normal fire, and the fire rages up a bit more, but he obviously says nothing, does nothing else other than that. But he has accepted your challenge.
And then I will How many of them are in total? Sorry.
There's only 2 of them left. Like I said.
Ah, so all right. So I will take an attack.
I assume you're swinging at the one you've just challenged.
Yes.
He
What
has
was it? Sorry.
He has defense good.
Okie doke.
Excellent. So you swing at him, and you again, your blade passes clean through.
I'm gonna take another swing, I think, with my metal rather than activate ball. Well, I can't activate ball.
No, because you guys outnumber them. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Swing again.
Have it.
Excellent. So you sort of swing one way and then swing back the other way, and you think, aha, I've got this beast down to rights. But he is still standing. Your blade seems to be just passing through. But every time his body pulls back, another bit of his cape is missing, or another bit of his ghostly body. So you appear to be doing damage, but you're certainly not killing it. And it is his go. And obviously, his flames enrage a bit more because you issued a challenge against you. So he's going to hit you. What's your defense rating at the moment, sir?
My defense rating at the moment is that can't be right. Great. No.
It is because you put a point in reflexes and thus moved you up a chart on the step ladder.
Fantastic.
So he's going to swing at you. And you take 3 points of damage. I believe you're currently armor 4, so he's big old
armor
sword.
3.
No, because you are now within Grimm's bubble of +1 armor. I don't like the GM,
okay.
so I'm going to make sure no one gets hurt. So his big old sword comes down and hits you, and it sort of doesn't clang off your armor as you would expect it to. It kind of goes through your armor and sort of like goes into you, and you feel chill, but you don't take any damage. And then Grim, you do actually get to go before the other ghosty.
Right. Note to self: don't leave the path. And he swings his axe at the ghost, just waving his hands around.
And do you have any runes that affect your weapons active at the moment?
No. My weapon has no runes on it.
Okay. And
the target defense is
average.
7 damage.
Wow. Your axe, your great axe swings through, and the body swooshes, and you can see it's trying to pull itself back together. But it's almost like it gets caught on the tail end of your axe. And as it's trying to pull itself together, it starts to shudder, and then it just bursts from existence. I was not expecting to do that level of damage. But that is gone, and we are back at the top.
Come on, Dathos, finish this thing off so we can get back to the path. I can't believe you drug us out here.
And we're back at the top. Can you all, as the cold continues to penetrate your bodies, can you all take another point of damage, please, except for you, Bore, because you're miles away. Tanzil, the scary Dreadwarden, chain rest Dreadwarden, the guy with the candles, is the only one that's left and standing in front of you.
Yeah, I'll swing.
Go for it. His defense is good.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, his defense is good. Yeah. It doesn't matter though. And as his flames are intense and he's like wailing and trying to hit the Stormcast Eternal, you kind of just see as where the Stormcast Eternal would cut through in the gap, you see a slight gap, and there's almost like a green glow inside of him. You can just see it through one of the gaps. And you plunge your blade in, and it wails really loudly and shakes, and then and there's a moment of quiet as sort of you all take check of it, and the temperature in the area comes back up, and you're no longer sort of chilling to your bones. And around you, you can see a number of, actually now the mist is sort of faded away and the glow and the fears. There's a number of bodies on the floor, long dead bodies, skeletons and stuff like that. Red Hammer, can you give me a devotion roll, please?
Indeed I can. 4-1.
Yeah, 4-1. Not a difficult one at all. Oh, and with that many successes, I'll give you a little bit extra. So, again, you're not a priest of Sigmar. You don't know the funerary rites of others, but you look down to where the crying girl was, and there's a skeleton on the floor. And on the skeleton, very faded now, the gold's chipped away and that, but you can clearly see there's a bracelet and sort of B, and there's like A, E, and then the J and O's, and so it doesn't say Beth Jensen on it, but you can clearly see that it marries up with what you just thought. And you sort of like read about this in some of your texts and that sometimes when a displaced soul cannot be with their family and stuff like that, and you think added with the necroquake magic that sort of spilled death magic across the realms, intensified her grief, as it were, for not being with her family. You sort of think that the land has actually ultimately become cursed because of this very reason. And maybe burying her alongside her family and giving her some funerary rites may not clear the mist, but it might help the area regain its former glory. Because the amount of successes you got.
You see the girl's corpse here. I think we should lay her to rest with her family, and I'll say words to Grimnar, but I assume your words to Sigmar will mean more to the family. May lay her spirit to rest.
Yes, I agree.
And so Grim will pick up the body and take it back over towards the headstones.
Yep. So you take it back.
It.
Lovely. And you can say some fine words to Grimnir, and you can say some fine words to Sigmar. And as you do, remember that there was some sigils of the comet around, very old ones around this area, obviously planted a long time ago to try and protect the souls of those who were buried in this area. They almost glow. You're not entirely sure. It's not glowing in a natural sense, but you can feel like the warmth lift off of them. And as it does, the mist starts to clear, very ever so slowly, but maybe this is the start of a healing process for this land. And maybe you guys have just broken the curse that created the Bog of Despair. It may take years, it may even take centuries for the mist to fully disappear, but it's almost like a thrum of like life and Sigmar's power, and that is just slowly pushing the mist back. And you've done something good for the realms, people. And for that, I will give you a point of soul fire back in your pool.
Woohoo!
And sort of after you've done this and you've sort of sorted out your wounds and put yourself back to full toughness, you continue on the path, which is now a bit wider than it was before. And you can start to make your way sort of out of the mists and out of the bog. And the rest of the journey goes mostly without incident. Again, the odd croaking noise, and every now and again you can hear a wail and some chains changling off in the distance, but nothing comes to bother you. And you finally make your way out of the mist. And as you come out, you step out, and it's like this big, wide woodland ahead of you. And you can see sort of a ravine. And Daphos, the compass is clearly pointing you to go down the ravine.
Hey, Daphos, by the way, you witnessed what we did. I'm going to put in for a change order in our contract when we get back, because we definitely deserve a bonus for helping to lift the curse of the Bog of Despair.
I mean, it certainly warrants a conversation.
Right. I hear that from management all the time. Change order. That's what I'm talking about.
Is there anything you'd like to do before you sort of set off on down the ravine or continue on our wayward journey, as it were? No. Okay. So you're about 3 days out from Hammerhall at this point. It took you a day to get sort of the edge of the bog and find the entrance, and sort of another 2 days to get through the bog itself. It wasn't a pleasant journey, but you've sort of done it now. And before you is a very thick, dense woodland. I mean, for you, Borir, it doesn't look that thick or dense because you're used to this kind of stuff, and it feels like home. And for the first time in a long time, you get whispers of the tree song. No one else can hear this because it is a special language only for the Sylvaneth. But there's a slight tree song, and you don't catch all the words in it. But every now and again, there sounds like there's a warning on the wind. And it just danger and watch out and it feels like the tree song is trying to warn you about something, but you can't, you don't know.
Okay. We should beware ambushes.
Excellent. As anyone
And
knows.
Right.
I will continue listening out to the tree song in case I get more as we get closer.
Borear, does it ever warm up in this hellscape of frozen trees?
Is it frozen?
No, but it is to him. He's from the realm of fire, so.
Oh no, I was just checking if it was actually
No.
frozen.
It's for you, or it's normal temperature. This is what you know. So like a. I guess it would be like a cold forest walk in England. this
To be
time
fair,
of
I'm
year.
not quite sure how susceptible I'd be to temperature.
I mean, in the
Does it-
realm of fire, you felt uncomfortable. So in the realm
Okay.
of fire, you definitely felt uncomfortable, especially as you're made of wood. Wood doesn't
Yeah.
really go well together. Realm of fire, you didn't feel entirely comfortable. It's a fine temperature for everyone, but Grim Redhammer it appears to be, and that's purely because he spent the entire life in the realm of fire next to magma and things like that. So, sort
The
of
temperature is within tolerable measures.
How many of these trees can we take to build a bonfire?
It's kind of cock his head slightly, a bit confused by the question.
Right, never mind. Let's just move on.
So as you sort of get closer to the trees, it feels very oppressive. You know,
I can
don't-
always find us somewhere safe to rest, and we
You
can't
can-
be surprised while we're there.
You see, I'm glad you know your talents so as you're getting closer, obviously trees, and I don't know how many of you have actually seen The Hobbit, because some people don't really enjoy the Hobbit films and whatnot, but you know when they're in Mirkwood, they first enter that oppressiveness, and there's this thin ravine, and so you make your way down into the ravine, you can see the trees above you and things like that. It's not oppressive for you, Borit. You love it. It feels like home to you. You know, the tree songs there, and every now and again it does another warning. And can you all do me an awareness roll, please? It's a 5-3 again.
Again, this is my wheelhouse. Not couple. No.
Ooh, got the 6, I got the extra one. Let's see how everybody else does with it. Tanzil, no. I'm just waiting for our Stormcast Eternal to roll his.
Oh,
I
come on,
think he's
failed
saying
that.
it's not working.
So yeah, no, it's not.
I was trying to read his lips.
Yeah,
I realised I was on mute.
it's not to worry. If you get it, well, I'll explain. So, Ori, you're not sure if it's the tree song warning you, but you're certainly more alert than usual. And you don't see it. But in
Oh,
the
there we
corner- Oh, good. Let me just see how many successes you got.
And I did it. No, I did it wrong. I didn't do it on 4. I did it.
When you
That's
got
fine.
two,
You got
so
two.
still
It
failed.
was a 5-3, so you didn't pass it, but 2 successes. You know, not bad. You don't know if it's the tree song anyway, Boria, but at the corner of your eye, you swear you see a scraggy man with a cloak and stuff like that, sort of in the
like
distance.
that hobo guy that
Could be like the hobo guy, but as you turn to look at it directly, it's not there. But you could have sworn you saw that out of the corner of your eye. Scraggy man, potentially someone you've seen before, but he's not there as you look directly at him, and do with that information as you will.
again, not really sure how much of an imagination a tree would have. So, yeah, I believe the homeless human we encountered is nearby.
Hodge or Podge. That
Hard,
guy.
isn't it?
Whichever, the homeless human.
None of you saw this. You have no idea what he's on about. No
Oh,
inkling of it.
I think you're seeing things out here and all this horrid tree nonsense.
And just kind of cock their head slightly.
And about another 2 days of traveling through the ravine, you've all had really good night's sleep, because every time you look to rest, Borear finds the perfect spot. At one point, he even finds you a spot where the tree vines made hammocks for you to sleep in. It was perfect, you know, and you hear trickling water off in the distance. It's like, Bore knows to pick the exact point you need to go to sleep, and it's been beautiful, and it's probably the best night's sleep you've ever had. Regain all your toughness and any wounds if you've taken any. So, but you're sort of coming up out of the ravine, and it steps into, it's almost like you're traveling a little road, and then you step out, and it's like the main road. So this would be now the more traveled path. But what you step out to is not what you're expecting to step out to. There's clearly been a battle here. There's sort of divots in the ground where obviously stuff's been fired, and there's bodies. And in the distance to your right hand side, not very far off, but it's in distance, there is a humongous cog fort. So for those of you who don't know much about the Age of Sigmar and realms, cog forts are what the Free Guild Guard essentially go marching around in, big old castles with legs, spider legs, and they're engineering pieces, and they've got cannons on them. And there's a downed one off to your right hand side, not too far off, but there's bodies everywhere, and the compass is pointing you across the other side, and you can see on the other side there's another thin ravine leading back into the woods. So this is obviously the main section of the road. This was obviously an army on the march somewhere and has been ambushed.
Can we tell by what?
Why don't you roll me an intuition roll, everybody? And it's 4-1, and how many successes you get depends on what you might find. Okay. 9 intuition, 4-1. So we've got Daphos, we've got Tanzer, we've got Bore, we've got Grim. Lovely. So those of you with, actually you've got 6s there, so that's fine. It's 2 successes. So Grim and Daphos and Bore, because you all got 2 successes. So at first you're sort of having a look around, and the bodies, they're in Hammerhall attire. They've clearly marched out from Hammerhall, but they bear a sigil on them, and it's the sort of the twin-tailed comet with a hammer, but it's set over the top of a bright sun. And you recognize this to be the sigil of the Dawnbringer Crusade. So these are the new crusades that Sigmar is sending out into the realm to help secure the realms, where his Stormcast have obviously got thin on the ground from fighting lots and lots of battles and spreading ever outwards. So these Dawnbringer Crusades are going out and helping secure the realms. You notice upon looking that the Cog Fortress, it seems to be missing some of its main armaments. Looks like they've been sort of stripped off. You're not sure by who. And then...
But was there any sign of who they were fighting?
No, there appears to be, and there appears to be not even any bodies for the enemy. And you look at some of the bodies, and some of them have got like pock marks in them where they look like they've been hit by a bullet of some kind. You're not entirely sure. Sort of stab wounds on them and things like that. But there appears to be no sort of defined bodies. If there was any enemy deaths here, they've been cleaned up and moved off. There's no evidence of them whatsoever. Tanzel, you spot while these are all looking at bodies. You sort of you're focusing in on it, and you spot from the cog fort where the cannons have clearly, there's some cannons missing from the top part of the fort. You notice very lightly in the ground, there's, well, not necessarily lightly for the first 2 sets of tracks, there's some humans and some Dwarden tracks. So you can clearly see sort of the stout foot of the dwarf heavy set. And obviously, as you start to point this out, Grim sees the dwarfs and you'll see the human footsteps. What no one else sees, but you see, Tanzil, is there's also 2 sets of light feet in the ground. So the first set, you recognize straight away, is your own race, the Alelfs. So, and judging by some of the arrows you've seen fired that have hit like the ground and stuff, it's potentially a wanderer's kin band who was obviously traveling with the Dawnbringer Crusade. They tend to stick to the trees and stuff. They're fairly in tune with the thing. They live in the woods and things like that.
Yeah.
This next set of tracks you don't recognize. It doesn't make any sense to you, but you figure that the tracks are maybe a half a day behind what you assume are survivors from this. Would you like to point out those tracks to anyone?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what you just told me to everybody.
So everybody else, you're looking at this. Grim, you can't pick up the tracks. Davos, you have no idea what the tracks are. Bore, you're a hunter of many, many moons of skill and things like that. But it doesn't take all your skill to work this out, that this is a Sylvaneth warband, and they're moving in a warband fashion. You don't know whether they're hunting the survivors, whether they were the attackers here, but there's definitely Sylvaneth about half a day behind what is assumed to be survivors from this attack. and they could be tracking them. You can't discern from their movements, but it's definitely a war band of some sort. You can definitely see some tracks that would potentially be Kurnoth hunters leading the band of dryads and war revenants and things like that. So not huge in number, but they're certainly tracking the humans in some the forces
Survivors.
of order, the survivors in some fashion.
Are they going in the same direction we're going in, or
The path, the main road itself does lead to Life's Point. This is the main road from Hammerhall to Life's Point. Now, if you'd taken this route, it would have taken you an extra week to get to your point. Through the bog and through this ravine seems to be speeding up your journey no end, So this probably set off almost a week ago from Hammerhall to get to where it is now. But it does. This is the main road towards Life's Point, so they possibly head in the same direction that you're heading in. You can't be 100% sure though, because there are other paths that lead off as you get closer to Life's Point.
How far behind are we from the warband that's tracking the survivors?
So Borea's got amazing hunting skills and tracking skills. It's part of his sort of who he is. You estimate that you're about a day and a half behind Borea. The tracks, sort of the survivors, they obviously, there was it looks like a battle. You can see, like I said, cannonballs in the ground and stuff like that. So it looks like the survivors managed to fend off whoever the attackers were. The Sylvaneth weren't present, as far as you can see from the tracks, at the battle, but they were about half a day behind. So they may have been tracking this party as it was moving. It may just be that they're tracking the party as it's moving through their realm, but you're about a day and a half behind them. So you're probably about 2 days behind the survivors.
And on the main road to Life Point, how long would it take for the survivors to get from this point of the battle to Life Point?
It depends how fast they're traveling. They're about another 3 or 4 days out from Life's Point. But your route, you roughly estimate, judging by the map and the way the compass is leading you, you're only about 2 days out from Life's Point. So if they're heading to Life's Point, you may cross over with them. You're not 100% sure, but it sort of tallies up in terms of days. Obviously, they could have wounded, in which case it slows them down, or they could be running for their damn lives, in which case it speeds them up. And they're, but without following their path, you're not going to know.
Well, if we stick to our path and our mission, we may get ahead of them or meet them on the road. Otherwise, we'll never catch them. From what you're telling me, Boyer.
I agree as well.
I think we should continue on.
Yeah, there's nothing really salvageable for any of you here. It's, maybe I'll give you all 10 Aquagoranis as you sort of look around and find some Aquagoranis to add to your pool. So 10 each for all of you. But otherwise, obviously, weapons, they're not better than what you've got. Armor, you're not better than what you've got. I mean, Bora, you wouldn't have any interest in any of that at all. So ultimately, there's nothing other than else of value here. You look at the cog fort, it's clearly taken some pretty hefty blasts from something. There's scorch marks all over it, but you're not entirely sure what could have caused it. But ultimately, there's nothing else here for you. So if you're happy to move on and follow the compass. So compass is obviously all the time you're moving around Daphos as well. That compass is pointing back to that ravine part. So sort of you get back in and you go down into the ravine. And like I said, it was almost like a little intersection as it crossed the main road, and you go down into the ravine. And again, you travel for about another day, and you're heading towards Life's Point, or at least what you think is Life's Point. It's hard to tell with all the deep woods above you. But as you're sort of moving through the ravine, you hear a noise. And it's very faint at first. You sort of identify it first, Grim, because you're a forge master. You make things, you do things, you forge, and it's the definite sound of a metal blade being sharpened on a whetstone, and it's echoing around the ravine. And you're getting closer to this noise, and Grim, you think it's gonna be around sort of this next bend. So, is there anything you guys would like to do before you round the bend?
We might want to be ready. There's someone at least sharpening a blade around the corner. Could be a smithy, could be to our benefit, but it also could be remnants of the war band. And we may need to be prepared for battle.
I'm assuming I know how to apply iron bark oil.
Yeah, cool, absolutely. It's
okay.
It's part of your martial memories. Excellent.
The wood is oiling up.
Yeah, man.
The wood is oiling up. So Tansil, Daphos, are you going to do anything before we round the bend?
Yeah. I'm going to stick with Grim, basically. I'm going to back Grim up.
Excellent. I assume you're mounting up, ready for a potential
Yeah.
fight. Yeah. Daphos, you doing anything?
I will be ready, like sword drawn, shield up, but
Yeah.
I won't be as far ahead.
Yeah.
Can I preemptively begin the chant for runic empowerment?
Yeah, of course. You've heard this in the distance. You're preparing yourself. It may not be a fight. It may be a fight. You're not entirely sure, but there's definitely someone sharpening the blade on a whetstone, and now you can all hear it. Now you've got close enough, and it's echoing off the ravine walls. That's that very, very sort of noise you get when you're sharpening the blade on the whetstone. The ravine sides are too high for you to sort of climb up and get an advantage and looking over and scouting it. Whoever it is around the corner. It almost feels to you like they've picked this spot, or this spot is potentially been picked for them, whatever reason. But it feels like a very native choke point for this area because the ravine sides are the highest you've seen so far. So as you round the bend, the sort of ravine opens up a little bit, not massively, and there's a big rock in the middle. And sitting atop that rock is a face you've seen before. There's a dwarf with a very grey beard and a very heavy set of plate armor. And he's sitting there and he's sharpening.
Oh, look, it's the coward. Now we all know how you got to get a gray beard behind that iron kettle you wear.
And he looks over to you and he's like, I was wondering when you were going to show up. He said you would be here soon. And he helped us get here because, quite frankly, you were a few days ahead of us. And he's sharpening his blades.
And who's that's helping out a coward?
Aye, I don't ask too many questions when magic's involved. Dwarda no place in the magic. And you can see as he's on top of this rock looking rather dramatic and sharpening his blade and trying to look menacing. And he does look menacing because he's in very thick plate, carrying that lovely axe that you all met recently. And you'll know him as Ard, of course, for our viewers at home if they haven't already guessed this. Sitting sort of down on the ground, sitting around a little makeshift table, playing what looks like some sort of Yahtzee or something like that with dice, are 4 more Dwarden. Now they're not in plate, don't look quite as impressive, but they're stout because they're dwarfs. And you can clearly see they've got shields and they've got axes and probably wearing your approximation of medium armors, leather with some sort of metal bits on it. And he's like, last time the fight was unfair because there was all of you on me. So this time I brought my kin band with me. So now it's a more fair fight. And you, Pointy, and he levels his axe towards you, Tansil. I remember your slights. Your grudge is getting settled first. And he sort of like comes down off the rock. He hasn't sort of moved to engage you yet. And he was like, the magic man, he said that I was to stop you and slow you down if I can. I'm going to do more than slow you down.
Yeah, I shaved your mum's beard.
Oh,
Jesus.
At that, all the other dwarfs who were still sitting down and like not thinking, like, letting the boss kind of do his speak, shoot to their feet, axes and shields in hand. Now they're now ready for a fight. They've set themselves ready for a fight. And you've now got a shield wall of dwarfs, 4 dwarfs plus a heavily armored.
Do you know what I did with it, man? I had a new pubic bush.
Jesus Christ.
Now, Tansil, you must be mistaken, because clearly their mothers were manlings if they're sighting with a dwarf in plate armor.
And he turns to you and he, mark this well. Thoric Ironside will take all your heads today. And his real name is Thoric Ironside. And he sort of brings his axe up and he's like, all right then. Yeah, wazzups. I'm gonna take great pleasure in this. And him and his boys start marching towards you. And I've got all your initiatives here. I hope you're ready for this.
I mean, I'm just saying, lads, do you mind me spending a soul fire?
No, do it.
No, go for it.
Okay. Are the dwarves close enough to charge?
Yes, they are. They're the one zone ahead, so you would move into their zone and then activate charge.
I will move into the combat with his little Kinband helpers,
Yeah, they're just ahead of him.
and I am going to take a swing with my scythe.
Go for it.
What's their defense?
Their defense is good.
Okay, and
Apply your soulfire, good sir. Excellent. So, your first fella, you sort of run in, roaring as you go, as you're a big old tree, and you do that, and you sweep your blade. And the first guy takes 9 damage. And he's, oh, up! And he kind of tries to get his shield in the way of it. And it glances and cuts through him. He's still there. But he looks pretty banged up, actually. You sort of caught his throat and his face and that, and he's kind of gushing some blood out. But he's a stout Dwarden. He's not shifted quite so easily as that. And he's still standing there. The others all, as you sort of carve across and sort of cut into their chests and stuff, and that sort of shields shatter and bits of shields come off. They're all still standing. They don't
they all
look,
take 8 damage.
but they all take 8 damage. Which obviously gets reduced to by their armor, but they are all still standing, and they don't look very happy.
And was the big axe dude?
He's
in
behind the
swing
shield
direction?
wall,
Okay.
so he's not so stupid to. He's seen you guys fight before, so he wasn't so stupid as to be standing out in the open and waiting for it. And especially when he saw you stomp across, he sort of remembers what you did to a few of those gangers in the den. So. That's he positioned his shield wall ahead of him, thinking that the shield wall would take it, and to a point, it has taken it.
I mean, if you really want me to spaff it, I could just swing again and kill them all.
You potentially could, but obviously you can't do soulfire more than once per.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to do soulfire
in which
again.
case, then I will do the sensible thing and I'll bulwark.
Yeah, thought you might. Tanzil, you are up next.
Yeah. So he's quite close, is he?
Close enough for you to charge. Don't forget also, Roger, your defense step drops 1 by charging. So
Yes,
your
but it
bulwark
goes
sort of
back
just
up,
balances
mate.
back it out. Yeah. Yeah, he's close enough for you to charge, and you do fly. So
Yeah, we're going to go in.
yeah.
Oh, do your zappy zap thing.
Yeah, I figured Biovoltic Blast was coming. Yep.
Yeah. What's his armor?
His defense is good.
Okay.
Although, would it be worth? Oh, okay. I was going to say, would it be worth not charging and saving that for next turn when you can use Soulfire?
Could I use metal and attack him again?
You can indeed, that you won't get Biovoltic Blast on the extra swing, but you will have a point of focus there. So you do 4 points of damage to him that he can't get armor against because Biovoltic Blast stops the armor.
Yeah.
He doesn't look. He looks like you've tickled him a little bit.
I was going to say, would it be worth re-rolling the Biovoltic Blast?
Has he got a reroll?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. Do you want to say that's your reroll, Jim?
Yeah, he can do.
Yeah, that's 6 points of damage. Lovely. Okay, still looks like a tickle.
And I'll
maybe a slightly harsher tickle.
Yeah.
Your first swing comes down, and with the sort of the power of the Biovoltic Blast, and your blade sort of flashing as the electricity comes through it, and you sort of cut him, and you hear him grunt, and that's about all you get out of him. But as you swing the blade back round, it just clangs off of his armor, and he is standing fine. He is initiative 4, which means he does go next.
Oh, cat shit.
And he sort of looks at you, Tanzan, when he goes, I told you you were next. I told you I'd get your grudge. And he brings his axe up, and you are defense great?
Yeah. I'm going to rub my chin like that.
Okay. So take 8 points of damage and reduce your armor. Now, you have got a bonus to your armor because, thankfully, the Fire Slayer was smart enough to set up armor before you went into the fight. So you have got +1 to your armor. So take your armor off that. So 8 points of damage minus your armor.
Okay, yeah. So yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Help me, Grim. Help me.
And he's going to use a point of metal and activate Bulwark himself.
Activate what?
He's going to activate Bulwark.
Can he? Because he's
What's
only got
that?
one person in combat.
You can still activate it, but he won't get the benefit from it unless there's
Oh, I
more
see.
than So you can always activate it, but it only benefits you if you're outnumbered in combat.
Right, I'm with you.
So
What's
basically,
Bulwark?
in other words, he assumes that having just seen what you did to his friends, he isn't going to have friends in a minute.
It's a reasonable fear.
I mean, he is a greybeard, and despite your insults towards him, he's clearly militarily trained, and he's clearly well over 100 years old at this point in time. So he's not.
So he's not dumb.
He's not dumb. He's a proper. As far as Dwarden come, it's pretty hard. Pretty hard.
I mean,
It's about as hard as they come.
if you knew, you'd realize that Grim has peed his kilt. I mean, he's not going to admit it, but he's not real thrilled.
You're eyeing up that axe, though, right?
Oh yeah, no, I want the axe. But
Yeah. You're eyeing up that axe, right? In which case, who is next? The Dwarden are only initiative 2, which means Daphos, you get to swing before the other Dwarden do.
I'm going to issue a challenge to our main compadre.
Oh, okay, excellent.
So
He absolutely
from me.
accepts. He absolutely accepts. He's like,
Well,
don't
that means
worry,
he's not
Tinny.
attacking up.
Don't worry, Shiny. You're next.
And I'm going to go for him.
So where you are, the 4 other Dwarden are in front of you. The only reason Tanzer can get to him is because he's on a fly.
Oh, because he was doing the thing.
Yeah, so he flies over
so
and
I'll
kind
go
of
for these
dives
guys
into him.
then.
Yep. So they are defense good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. You do 1 point of damage to one of them.
I might re-roll that.
If you're gonna re-roll it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to re-roll that. Can you use my re-roll? That's better.
That's better. That's better.
And you can use focus.
Yeah, I'm going to use that focus.
Yeah. He's only got 1 focus, so you don't need it. I know you can do it to a 5, can't he? Okay. So you sort of like dive into the fight. You just saw your tree friend sort of slash across the mall. And the Dwarden, he's obviously fighting for his life against this giant tree who's just sliced against him. But he does see you coming. And he tries to like sort of parry with his axe and doesn't quite get the parry off. And you cut deep into his right hand shoulder. And he sort of lets out but he is still standing.
I am going to activate Bulwark.
Yep, both you and the tree are outnumbered, 4 on 2 at the moment. Now, because it's player advantage, Grim, you do go next.
So Grim will charge in and hit the Dwarden that Dathos just struck, since he's still up.
Yep.
And it's like, kinsman, you picked the wrong bloody side. And I will first, I'm as a free action maintaining.
Yep.
I will spend my other point of metal to double my training.
Yep.
And I will swing away.
Excellent. Yeah, so you see the sort of Daphos' sword cut right in deep into it, and he grunts. Ugh. And what you actually do is you don't necessarily strike him yourself. You bring your axe round and you crash onto the back of Daphos' sword. And basically the strength, you basically smash and drive the blade through, and the blade cuts through. The arm comes off. The blade goes into his chest. The Dwarden sort of spits his blood, grunts, and then collapses on the floor in his last sort of step of defiance, as it were.
See, Dathos, hammer and nail, hammer and nail.
And the other Dwarden now sort of start hacking and hewing into into your tree friend in front of you. So the first 2 will swing at you, Mr. Tree Man. Your defense is currently good because you step down, step up. Excellent. So you take 4 points of damage from the first one, which I believe you've ironbarked oiled, haven't you? So you're +1 from the. So that is only you you're fine. That sort of bounces off you. And then the second one sort of swinging at you with the extra success from the 6 only does 4 points of damage again. So you are absolutely fine. And then the last one swings at you, Daphos, because you are the closest to him, and you are You didn't charge, did you? You just moved in, didn't you? So your defense is great. Am I right in thinking that, Dan? Might even be superb at this point, actually, because you've got yeah, it's superb because you've got bulwark up. He fails to hit you. He kind of swings, and you kind of just bring your shield over and just sort of deflect it over, and it's it looks very easy for you to do that. But the Dwarden sort of like they all start to lockstep and almost make a little shield wall against you now. And we are back to the top of the order. Tanzil.
Just to be honest here, isn't there another Dwarden still?
No, you got killed.
One's dead.
Oh, I
three
thought
are
there were
still
5.
No,
Okay.
there was 4. There was four of them. They sort of set a shield wall in front of you.
Sorry, right with you.
Yeah. You got the one that you initially hit with your 9 damage, and then you did 8 damage to the rest of them. The one that you did 9 damage to is still there in front of you, as is the other 8. But one of the 8 damage ones died from the hammer and nail tactic of Grim and Dathos. But yeah, so we're back at the top. Tanzil.
Is there any way that I can set myself up to dodge, or
You can dodge as an action, and it moves your defense rating up by 1.
okay, we'll do that.
Okay, and are you going to spend your point of metal to do anything?
Can I
attack?
up it a little bit more, or
No, there's no, so you can only do dodge once, so you ultimately can do one of the other actions. And then
what is
dodge.
bulwark, by the way?
Bulwark
It's a talent.
is a
It's a
talent.
talent.
So when you're outnumbered, your defense steps up by 1.
Can you use his point of metal to attack?
Yeah, usually but he could basically go attack and then use his point of metal to do dodge.
Yeah, we'll do that then.
Yeah, okay, swing away.
What's his defense?
His defense is great at the moment. No, good at the moment. Sorry, not great because he isn't outnumbered yet. Yes, you swing at him, and you hear the
Use
ting,
focus.
ting, ting. He does have a focus available. So there you go. So with the 1 focus, you get a point of damage through to him.
Yeah. Okay.
So you sort of thing, and you kind of cut his cheek as you ching off his armor, and he like turns, and then he just slowly brings his head back towards you and just smiles. He's enjoying himself. So, however, Mr. Boreal Ragewood, before
Okay.
you are 2 Dwarden who are hitting you, not
Excellent.
effectively.
I will swing at them. Oh, I forgot. I've actually got 3 focus. Sorry, I forgot to add in my temporary one for my ancestral memories. So
All those 5 6s.
yeah, I can only apply 2 focus there, but it is actually.
But it is actually
there should be another one. Yeah.
another one. Yeah. So basically, what you're telling me is you just got 6 6s.
Yeah.
Okay. So, despite them being very stout and very strong, they are Dwarden. They are all the same height, and their armor doesn't really protect their neck. And you sort of bring your scythe back in like a really big, overzealous swing, like you know what you're going to do. And the Dwarden sort of all put their shields up, ready to receive it, and your strike just goes clean full of shields. And you see these shields splintering and smashing as the sort of glaive goes through the shield and then through the necks of each Dwarden. They're all the same height, with minor variations, but Dwarden, they don't vary that much in height for the adult size. And and at first you're not sure that you get them because they're all still standing there. And one of them even goes, "Phew," and then his head rolls off the top. And then the other 2 sort of like, and their heads roll off as well. Like they're so these dwarfs are so stubborn, they didn't want to die, but they do all die. And there are 4 Dwarden on the floor before you.
Warrior, you make me smile. And I don't smile often.
However, next up is the Dwarden, the might, the powerhouse, Thoric Ironside. So obviously, Tanzil, you've been clipping at him, and he really wants to cut your pointy ears off and add him to a necklace or something. But unfortunately, he is a Dwarden. There is, certain honors and things he has to do. And there was a very large, shiny metal man who issued a challenge at him.
Bring it.
So he kind of nudges his axe at you and then turns and swings at you, Dathos. And he is going to hit you. You are back down to great defense. Because you're no longer outnumbered, so your bulwark does no longer have an effect. Oh, he does 9 points of damage to you, sir. So he like, "Ah!" and you feel the axe bite into your shoulder. Your shoulder is probably the most plated part of your armor because you've got your armor and then you've got the pauldron on top. But it breaks deep into the pauldron and you feel it bite your shoulder. Clearly, it hurts. Obviously, you're not necessarily going, "Oh, I hurt," because you're Stormcast Eternal, but you feel it. It bites deep. He's going to use a point of metal and swing again at you because he's angry. And he does so.
It's just rude.
And does another 8 points of damage. Obviously, you're getting your armor soak on this, so that's a 5 and a 4 off of your 4 armor. But you've just taken 9 points of damage, and then he uses his last point of mental to activate Bulwark because he is outnumbered at this point. And he's like,
Jesus.
"Did you enjoy that, Shady? Did you enjoy that?"
I'm still standing, you twit.
Well, it's now your turn, Davos, but he has just moved to defense great now because you guys outnumber him. But you've got +1 to your melee step, haven't you? Because you have issued a challenge against him, if I remember rightly. That's how it works.
Mhm.
Okay. Swing away.
So I was just still doing the maths on my toughness. I'll come back to that.
Yeah, you've taken 9 points overall on your toughness because it was a 4 and a 5 because after your armor soak. Good job, you boosted your toughness, eh?
Yes, it's almost as if I kind of knew that was going to happen.
I mean, you issued a challenge. He's
So
answered.
he's superb.
No, he's great. And it's whatever your melee step is now, which I believe is probably great as well. Because you've got +1, haven't you, for issuing a challenge?
Yes.
Oh, a good strike.
Lovely.
A good strike. You've also got that focus to turn that 3 to a 4 as well, so give you an extra
Yes,
point.
please.
Yeah, excellent. So
But does any of it get through?
some of it gets through. So again, you hit, and it's like hitting.
Plus, he's got a focus.
Yeah, I've added the focus
Okay.
on the 3 to give him another 4 to give him an extra 6. So you hit him, and it's like you were standing upon the anvil of Apophis trying to smash the anvil with a hammer. It's just, it hurts to almost hit him. It kind of vibrates in your blade, and you're trying to drive it in. There is a crack. You definitely get him, and you definitely do some hurt. But he is still very much standing, and he's smiling. I mean, he's spitting up a little bit of blood now. He's taken a few hits and a few knocks. Spits out a bit of blood, but he seems to be thoroughly enjoying himself.
Anyone else want to get in on this?
But yeah, he is still very much standing and still very much in this fight.
Spend a point of metal and hit him again.
You could do that.
Or you
Nothing-
can spend a point of metal to dodge.
Yeah, or you can spend a point of metal or dodging up your defense rating by 1.
I think I will hit him again.
That's what I like to hear. Ah!
So you swing at him again, and
You can make that 5 or 6.
oh, okay, yeah, do that. So you swing at him again, and you sort of again. It's just, you might as well just hit the giant rock that's behind him because that's what it feels like you're doing. And there's a very slight grunt as you do some damage to him. But again, he doesn't seem to be shaking at the moment or breaking down. There's a few rents, minor rents in his armor, and you can see some blood trickling out of it. But I mean, this dwarf is as wide as he is tall. I mean, he is as stout as they come. And he's wearing some fancy ass plate, which you are slowly but surely breaking apart, but he is still standing. Which brings us to our own Dwarden.
Don't worry, Tin Man. Grimnir's with us. And I slam the forge key into his back and cast Cauterize.
Something tells me the Stormcast might have needed that.
Yeah, just a bit.
Oh, very
3
nice.
additional successes, and I will spend a point of metal to add my soul onto that. So that's 8
And
healing.
can the focus do anything?
No, because he would have to raise. Oh no, if he could
Could
give
it raise
himself
the 5 to a
Raise the
6?
5 to a 6. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there you go. You heal 9
9
points.
back.
Oh, that's
9
good.
toughness back.
Ooh,
That's
ooh,
almost as much as I took.
ooh.
Keep swinging, Dathos. You got this. You got this, coward.
In fact, that is as much as I took.
Okay, so we are
Excellent.
back at the top. Unless our Dwarden wants to do anything else.
No, I'm out of metal, so I'm
Just maintaining the +1 armor at this point.
Yep.
So we are back at the top. Borir or Tanzil, take your pick. You're basically the four of you are sort of Red Hammer. You're just behind because you're sort of concentrating on keeping your boys in the fight, and the three of you are sort of tripoded him, and he's like there in the middle of the three of you, and he's laughing. You actively hearing him laugh now. He's very much enjoying himself, as any good Dwarden should really in this situation.
It's a good fight.
I'm calling for a Ironside for nothing. So which one of you wants to go first? Elf or tree?
Go on, Jim.
Go on, and yeah.
He is now got a defense of great.
As you know.
Yeah.
Just stab him harder.
Even with adding the focus to the three, you sort of swing, and he kind of catches you out of the corner of his eye, and he kind of lifts his pauldron up, as almost if it's a shield, and he does it, and you ting off and just sort of cut, and you wisp a little one of his grey hairs off the top of his head. But
remember when you're fighting, you can spend a point of metal to double your training dice and improve your odds of hitting.
You can do
a
that
single time.
Okay.
And then would you like to spend a point of metal to do anything, Jim? Dodge or something like that?
Yeah, I'm dodging.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Mr. Tree, Mr. Borir.
Okay, let's take a swing at this guy. So what was his defense?
It's
Great.
It's great now. Yeah.
It's a full-blood slobber knocker.
Oh, that was a piss poor roll.
Yeah.
I'm
Have
gonna
you
use
used
my
your reroll?
No, not yet.
Yeah,
I'm going to
do it.
use it.
Rerolls always tend to do well for you guys. So. And you do have some focus. You can turn those 2 threes.
And 5
5
into a 6.
That's good. So what that does is it actually gets you some damage on him, because before that you weren't damaging him. So you're cleaving, but why he's sort of lifted his pauldron to defend from Tanzil's
Yeah,
attack.
that's damage.
It's damage. It
6,
does
7,
it
8. It doesn't seem to add the 6s.
No, I don't know why it's not adding 6s. So it's only 7. Because if it's added the 4s, it hasn't added the extra 6. 8. Oh yeah, 8. So no. Yeah, okay, cool. So sort of like as he's lifted his pauldron, he's kind of shown a sort of bit of weakness on the other side, and that's what you try to exploit. And you sort of get in between his pauldron and his like sort of body plate, and you can hear him. That actively hurts him. You can hear him, but he is still standing. He hasn't gone down, but he's maybe looking a little bit worse for wear now. He's maybe looking a little bit worse for wear now. However, he is still very much in the fight, and he's still very much looking at the guy who's challenged him.
I'm going to hit him again.
Oh, you're going to hit him again? Go for it. Go for it. So you can get another 2 successes with your focus. Excellent. Yeah, so you cut into him again, and this time it's a lot less successful than it was the first time. Still definitely do some pain, because as you sort of plunge it in and plunge it out, you can see more blood on your blade. His armor's not looking quite as solid as it did when you first started. There's now sort of multiple rents with blood, and you can see that actually some chain links have come out from underneath the armor. It was obviously sort of chainmail underneath, plate on top. As far as armor goes, it's pretty damn advanced in terms of stopping damage, but some chain links are falling out, and your second attack goes in, blood comes out. He's still standing, but he's not wobbling because he's a Dwarden. He's pretty stout, he's pretty tough, but he's bit more laboured in his breathing now, and his laughter has sort of died down a bit, but he doesn't seem to be showing any signs of letting up, and he brings that axe up again, and defense great. Is it for you, Mr. Dathos?
Yes, because I haven't got Bulwark up.
Okay, so he's going to use a point.
Oh no, did you dodge or did you attack twice?
I attacked twice.
Okay.
So he is putting everything into this strike, and he's going to double his training. Oh, why isn't his focus showing up actually? Where's his focus? Where's his focus not showing? He's got 2 focus. Oh, I don't know why it's not showing up. So that's fine.
I'd make it 9.
Yeah. So you take 9 points of damage.
That's right.
So he brings his axe round, and seeing that he's sort of dented one of your pauldrons, it's almost like he's just trying to take out your pauldrons at this point. And he sort of brings the axe back up and back down. And you know that sort of move you do with a sledgehammer when you slide your hands to the bottom of it and bring it down as hard as you can. He's just done that into your sort of your right shoulder, and he is going to swing again.
I haven't taken off the 6 yet.
Well, he's just done 2 more successes, so he's just done another 8 points of damage.
Are you remembering you get an extra point of armor from?
Yeah, definitely you get an
the
extra
Fire
point of
Slayer.
armor, so you've got 4 armor at the moment.
Oh no, I haven't.
Oh yeah, definitely
No,
4 armor.
sorry. So the first one was
So 9.
The
first one was
4,
9,
so
and then-
5.
Yeah, so
5 and 4, 9 points of
so
damage.
9 points of damage in total. So what you just healed, basically.
again.
Yeah. And surprisingly, he has a point of metal left to activate Bulwark. You're not sure how this is happening, but he has another point of Bulwark. So he activates Bulwark again.
Wow, 3 points of metal in a turn. Damn.
Yeah. He's a champion. He's not some scrub.
Yeah, hey,
Well, we don't want no scrub.
I'm not too
Scrub
far off getting a 3rd point of metal myself. So
yeah, so he sort of like sort of lashes into you twice, and he's like sort of you almost feel Daphos that while they're really heavy strikes, they might be sort of his last ditch to
Yeah.
like he's running out of steam, and it is now your turn to swing at him.
Before I attack him, I will say you have fought bravely, Master Dwarf. I offer you the chance for an honourable surrender.
And he spits his blood in your face.
It was worth a try. All right. You can't say I didn't try.
He's just like, "Oh, you wasn't," and just spits all of his blood that is clearly leaking from multiple areas of his body at this point into your face. I think he's determined to meet his ancestors. But go ahead.
Okay. Oh, that's rubbish. That won't scratch him, will it? Oh well.
Well, you've got a point of metal to make it 5 damage.
Point of metal?
Focus, I mean, sorry.
No, because he's done 3-1. Oh wait, did you do his defense as
5.
great? Or did you do his defense as good?
I did it as good.
Yeah, so the frees don't hit.
Oh yeah, that won't do anything. Then.
Yeah, so yeah, while it's rent and it's damaged and it's broken, his armor still seems to be doing a marvelous job.
I will spend a point of metal to go again,
Yes.
and I will make sure I do it on great this time.
Just roll 6s, Dan.
Yeah, just roll 6s.
Just roll 6s and it'll be fine.
A couple of 6s, but still.
But so that does add the extra, so that gives 6 points.
Plus, he can spend a focus to make it 7.
Yeah. I'll do that. Actually.
Okay. And he kind of goes almost down to one knee. For those of you at home, he's just taken a minor wound. Vyala, give me a strength now. Grimnir, guide my axe. Gugni, seal my armor. And you can hear he's making prayers to all the ancestors now at this point. So you figure he's on his way out, but he's not dead. And that will be Grim.
So Grim looks over. You daft old fool, Grimnir's with us. And the forge key goes back into Dathos's back. You're not done yet, you tin can. Keep at him.
I was hoping Grim was going to kick him in the crotch to finish him off.
Additional successes, so that's 4. Plus, I'll spend a point of metal. That'll
And the
drop our
focus.
armor. Yeah, well, that'll only take that one up to a 4. Okay, yeah, so 5. So you get 9 points back, but everybody's armor goes down by 1 because I don't maintain the
That's fine. I'm back up to my
Empowerment.
top toughness. I'm loving these powers, man. I love them. Every time he does me, he just brings it back. It's great.
All you're saying to me is I need to throw something harder than this at you. That's what you're saying to me.
Or kill the healer. One of the two.
Okay. Yeah. If Grim was out of it, we'd be screwed.
Yeah,
Or at least I would be.
I was going to say you would have taken 18 points of damage at this point in time without that healing.
I mean, admittedly, we did burn a soul fire in this fight.
You did
True,
indeed, yeah. Yeah, I was expecting those front Dwarden to still be around for a little bit longer, but they haven't been. Okay, so we're back at the top. Tanzil or Tree, who wants to...
Can we like Eiffel Tower him?
Do you know what? I'm going to give it to you. Both of you roll your attacks at the exact same time.
Don't forget, you can double your training dice with a point of metal if you want.
Do that,
Yeah, when you do the attack, it comes up and you'll see his little box says double train him.
Is he still defense great?
He's still defense great, yep.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh my god.
How's that?
Moses.
Pretty good.
How's
Sweet
that
Moses.
then?
And Eiffel Tower him you do. Tanzil, your blade wedges into his throat and you can see blood spurting out and it's not pretty.
And can I use the blade to skirt my scythe along to take his head off?
You try, but
Through
it gets
his
wedged.
beard.
It gets wedged and he's got loads of chain like gold things in his hair and you can see he's spluttering up blood and you don't quite behead him and he is going to use Death Strike and he is going to do one final strike that will hit all of you with his big axe. He's going to bring it around in a big arc as he screams to Grimnir and Grugny and all of that as he makes one final strike. I'm going to do an average defense here. Who's got the highest and who's got the lowest? So you all sort of ran the good mark at this
My
point.
defense is good, yeah.
Good.
Mine is.
I think it's 2 goods, 2 greats.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'll do great because I'm feeling generous. And he will use 2 points of focus to turn those 2 threes into 4s, which means you all receive 9 damage as he sort of like bursts out of your strikes and blood spread. And he's like, he's barely talking, but he's like, take me to your halls. Swings in a big arc, and his kind of body keeps spinning for a second as his stubbornness to die kind of fades away, and you see the life fall from his eyes. And because he did a thing for those of you at home in the rules, if you are a hero, normally for the players, and you're on death's door, you can forego the survival rolls and do a death strike. He's just done that, but he was actually a hero of order. He's served the forces of order for centuries, so you will just get a point of doom for killing a hero of the orders of order. So you are now up to 2 doom, which makes your fight just that little bit harder in future.
That's all right. He decided to go on the wrong side of this fight.
I don't feel like we also gave him the opportunity to surrender.
He's a Dwarden. He don't surrender. You should know that by now, Daphnos.
Well, since he was a hero of order, I won't cut off his beard. I'll just roll him over so he's face first in the dirt and take his axe.
Okay, you pick up his axe.
Priorities.
I'm going to try and drop it into your character sheet for you. So just bear with me 2 seconds so you can see. So there's gear and there's his gear. Let's see if it'll let me drop that in there for you. There you go. You marvel at that.
Make me smile. That's a pretty axe.
There you go. So you pick up the Dwarf Forge Great Axe and it sort of twinkles a little bit and you realize it has magical properties. So not only is it a very good axe, but it counts as magical. So when you're hitting stuff such as ghosts who are ethereal, you have a magical axe. And despite this fight being really hard and you've all taken a load of damage, and this seems like a good place to camp up and pitch up and whatnot. And you can see off in the distance, like what in the sort of direction of Life's Point, there's actually smoke rising. You didn't notice it before while you were in here, but off in the distance, there seems to be smoke rising from Life's Point. And you all feel almost a little bit of guilt about this fabled hero of, when he said his name was actually Thoric Ironside, Grim, you know that name. It's been said around campfires. He was obviously he's probably around closer to 3 centuries old at this point. But you have vested him. He is dead, face down in the dirt.
Well, actually, Grim, after a moment's thought, will give the proper rites for all his kinsmen because he doesn't want their spirits plaguing us. So
how did a guy like that end up working in a dingy bar for a criminal overlord?
I mean, you attacked the bar. You never really had a chance to get to know him. Like, who knows what his story was, or what he was doing. But ultimately, decisions have consequences. And as you look up and you sort of tend to your wounds and you see the smoke off in distance of Life's Point, knowing that that's your next challenge and your next path you need to pass through, we will leave it there for this week. And we will say thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. If one of you can message Pete to come and close us down, that'd be great. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, and hopefully my players are enjoying it as well.
It's such fun.
Yeah,
Great. Excellent. Fantastic. So if you're watching on Twitch right now, this will be on YouTube, and certainly go and check out our YouTube because there's loads of cool stuff up there. These guys, we've done loads of Warhammer stuff as well. So if you're well into your Warhammer, there's plenty of Warhammer stuff to watch. If you're watching this on YouTube later on, come over to the Twitch, join us. Also come and join us on our Discord stuff because we're all there chatting all the time. I'm normally in the Warhammer channel, and so's Roger and stuff like that. And there's loads of channels and there's loads of cool stuff going on all the time. What is happening for the rest of the week on the channel? Anybody who knows? This is where I hand over to my comrades here because they're better at it than I am.
I do not know what's going on tomorrow at this time, but if you're still up in Europe, or if you're watching in the U.S. tomorrow, Garblag North America, that's going to be 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be returning to Octun Cthulhu as part of the Modifius sponsorship of their Forced of Fear campaign. So our guys we're deep in the midst of the Battle of the Bulge, fighting Eldritch horrors with some of our favorite old friends, including Major Harry Hammer. But really, the cool thing is Modifius gave us fun things to give away. And this week, starting this week, it's physical books that are being given away. So if you're watching live on Garblag Games Twitch TV channel, we'll be giving away, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that it is a hard copy of the Shadows of Atlantis. But if you tune in tomorrow night, you'll know for sure. And every week going forward culminates in a better giveaway for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, exciting. And also, you guys have done quite a lot of Octun Cthulhu over in North America.
Yeah, we did a standalone operation, and we're about halfway through Shadows of Atlantis. And so we're going to do this Forced of Fear promo for another 3 weeks. Then we're going to go back and finish off Shadows of Atlantis. And then I believe we're going to move back to Call of Cthulhu and the Masks of Nyarlathotep. After we left New York last year, we'll be moving on and possibly finishing the masks before we move on to another game.
Very exciting. You can catch that all on YouTube, and it's really good. So definitely worth a watch. Have we got anything on Friday? Anybody? Does anyone know?
I believe Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition on Friday.
Ooh, bit of 5th edition.
Running, I think it's Pirates.
Ooh.
Yeah. Sky Pirates with Lewis, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, excellent. Monday next week?
Nothing happens on Monday, does it?
No, not generally, no. And then Tuesday, I think we've got Coriolis running on Tuesday at the moment.
Coriolis, with
Coriolis on Tuesday. And then
with Millie. And then back round to us on Warhammer Wednesdays, where we will find out what our party trouble they can get themselves into next week.
We'll find some other Order hero to kill.
Yeah, well, you've given yourself a point of doom, so it's going to make the fights a little bit harder now, you see. Forces of evil have gained some foothold. But we shall find out next week. I do thank you all for joining us.